Hey, Pat, in a non-COVID year, I guess I would just wheel up to your practice and tell you, but Craig Johnson says to tell you, hey.
Yeah, Craig's a good man. Yeah. We worked together, obviously, at the Giants. He's a good man.
Yeah, he said
Tell him I said hello.
I will.
Or Zoom him or whatever.
Yeah. We, in your looking through it last week, what do you see kind of in specific differences and why the offense plays it seems more relaxed in the second half in those catch-up situations, and can you get that in the first half of game?
Yeah, well, I think when you look at it throughout, we moved the ball. We had a third down throw in the end zone that, in my opinion, was whoever saw it didn't see it the right way. It was a beautiful throw that could have been a touchdown, and so we're talking about a different thing. It also could have been PI, where I think a lot of people saw that arm get grabbed. Okay, so that's the margin for error on some of this stuff. That's 7 points, and then it's not, and then you kick a field goal and whatever. That's sort of where we're at right now. And when you hit those early, it was the same thing in the Patriots game. Drew made some really nice throws early in the game. One was a PI they picked up. Another one was a ball we just didn't connect on. Those scores early in the game are huge, and we still got to keep giving our guys opportunities. We need to be aggressive. I think it's fair to say we need to get more out of our running game early. That helps. You saw I ran a lot of nakeds and keeps, which Drew executed well. I think he throws the ball well on the run. And there are teams that will allow you to do that. There's other teams that don't. And so that was good. But to score early in the game, we just got to be on point and be better. And then I do like, I'm from part of my training was from the tempo world, so I do like playing fast. And I think we've developed a pretty good system for doing it, later in the game, whether it's 2-minute or you're just trying to play faster, no huddle, and we do that well. And so, we'll just have to see what works. But I think it's fair to say we need to get more out of the running game early. And I think that'll help us.
Coach, how would you evaluate the play of your three interior positions and probably more to grade Graham than Austin? I'm not discounting what he's done the last couple of weeks or hadn't done, but with your three starters.
Well, Graham's just coming back off a 2-week COVID thing. But I thought he was solid, before he had to leave us. He looked good yesterday in practice. So I think if things progress, he'll be out there again. Anticipate he'll do a good job. Dalton, Dalton is playing well. I think it's fair to say that, everybody has a bad player or two in the game that we got to try to, all of us do, coaches included, so we got to get rid of those. But I think he's a pretty solid presence there, which can help Cush. Cush gets better each week, but then there's every once in a while a reminder that he's a rookie. And I think that's just our reality. Somebody once said fight with the army you got, not the one you want. And for right now, we got guys that are working through some things that they're doing for the first time. And so we just got to keep encouraging them to play well. And then that'll help at all positions. And so I think it could be said for the three interior as much as it could be said for any other position.
Next one, Andrew Mason.
Pat, halfway through the season, kind of big picture, what are you seeing for the offense in general that is working as well as you want to, and where do you want to see this unit improve to get where you need to go in the second half of the year?
Well, I think there's some things that we're doing well. I mean, the shorter third downs, I think we've been very, very good. Some of the medium third downs, we got to get better, obviously. So when we get it down to a shorter third down, we've been better of late. We've been better in the red zone of late, getting the ball in the end zone, which is good. I think I already kind of addressed it. I think early in the game, all the elements of our offense we got to be able to run the ball well. We got to be able to play action well, and then we got to stay on the field. early in the game to put scores on the board where we're not in kind of fast break mode. So I think that's where it's at. I think as we go through this, you know, you kind of look at it in quarters. You know, the first quarter of the season, you know, it felt like coaching these guys, it was kind of like the 4 preseason games. You know, we're just getting them all going, you know. And, you know, we had some mistakes and things, getting them all going, and it was a young group. The second half or the second quarter, we did some better things, right? I think we were 2-2 in that quarter. And we're getting better in a lot of areas, and we certainly need a lot of other improvements. And now as we go through this third quarter, we got to get better in all the areas and just keep playing and finding a way to play together and do what we have to do to help us win.
Next one, Mike Kliss.
Yeah, Coach, it seems like Drew Lock throws the ball really well from the pocket, you know, for all his athleticism he has. He throws from the pocket better than, you know, when he's off balance and trying those tricky sidearm type throws. Is it emphasized to him or should it be emphasized? Where are you with Drew Lock as far as maybe keeping him in the pocket?
Well, I mean, to help your narrative, I think when he throws in rhythm from the pocket, yeah, he made some great throws the other night. Like I mentioned, the 7 ball to Tim. He threw another 9 ball down the sideline to Tim that we didn't complete, right? He had another 9 ball. Those were all big throws. In the last series of the game, it was a beautiful throw to Jerry Jeudy on the deep in route, right? That could have put us around midfield. So, yeah, I agree with you. But I think he does throw the ball well on the run. I think what you're alluding to is that when he throws the ball from the pocket off balance and he doesn't need to, I think that's a fair assessment of your narrative there. And, you know, when he doesn't need to, he shouldn't, you know, and I think that's what we are working on is to make sure trusted protection. If it requires stepping up and throwing, step up and throw. If it requires sliding and throwing, do that. He's got this basketball background, you know, where every once in a while it turns into a fadeaway. You know, and there's times when you can get away with that, but then there's other times when fundamentally you have to stay in rhythm and do what you need to do with your feet and your mechanics. And he works on that daily. So,
Next one, George Doyer.
Yeah, Pat, you've coached some great wide receivers in the past. Is there anybody that Jerry kind of reminds you of that you've coached before? And secondly, where have you seen him maybe progress the most the last couple of weeks?
yeah, I don't know. After doing these for a while, I try to stay away from comparisons. You know, that's not good. I think you're right. You know, I've been fortunate to be around a lot of great receivers. They all have different attributes, different things they're great at, different things they're really good at. And the one thing I think Jerry's a good route runner, you know, and I think he, you know, he has a way of finding, getting separation, whether it's at the line of scrimmage or even down the field at times, because he's kind of nifty quick that way. He has very good speed. He's got very good ball skills. And I think all those things are the reasons why we drafted him. And then I think with any player, young or old, it just comes back to the consistency piece. You know, he had a really fine game the other night, but then he'd be the first one to tell you he had a naked that he dropped, and then there was a big play at the end of the game he wishes he had back. So, you know, I think the consistency piece comes back to, and this is every player, every coach. You know, if we all just do one less thing wrong and one more thing better, then these outcomes will be different. You know, and I think that's the thing when you're dealing with young players, that it can be a very painful process, right? And you know, we are not patient people by nature, but we understand as teachers that you just have to keep going through it. And you know, at the end of the next game, hey, listen, did you do 2 things better and 2 things not bad? You know, and just, you know, more. And I think that's what we're trying to get with them.
Next one, Arnie, and time for a few more after. Go ahead, Arnie.
Hey, Pat, you haven't had the luxury of Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay together very much this season like you had hoped, for various reasons. But having them together, and what kind of a luxury is that for an offensive coordinator to have two dynamic backs that bring such different skill sets to the equation?
Yeah, it's good, and you're right. I mean, your question leads into what's been. I mean, they really haven't been together very, very often this year. No, they're both really good players, and I think they have the ability to make good gains, right? Make consistent gains, but then they also and Phil showed it the other night against the Chargers. Have the ability to take it the distance. I think when you're just talking purely the running game, and we went through this process with Saquon. Saquon was a guy that liked to bounce and cut back and all that. And, we started to encourage him to take the dirty runs, as it kind of falls down around you, take that 6-yard run as opposed to cutting it back. So when you talk about runners, is them to continue to do that. There's some dirty runs in there that, you're going to, there's going to be a physical ending to it. Just continue to do that. And then the big ones will show. And then try not to have them minus yardage gains, which is really the whole team in terms of making sure we got it blocked at least to the line of scrimmage. So, we think they both have that ability. So it is a luxury.
Final two, Kyle, then Troy. Go ahead, Kyle.
Hey, Pat, the tight end position, how are you looking for Noah Fant to build off his solid first half? And then Nick Vannett, what are you looking for out of him and more production, perhaps?
Yeah, I think, production is one thing at the tight end position. It's I really value the tight ends. And Noah obviously has done a nice job with his blocking, and then obviously good production in the passing game. Nick has been solid. Really has, and at some point, he'll get his production. And when he does, we've thrown the ball at him only a few times, but the times we did, he's caught it, and I think that's important. There's got to be a steady piece to them doing all the dirty work as well. I 7-man protected a bunch the other night against, and those guys had to, block defensive ends, and they did a good job there too. So, just keep doing what they're doing, do it better, just like everybody, and catch the balls when they come your way. It's a bummer Big O got hurt because he was, I kind of looked at him in quarters, right? It's kind of like the first quarter, first 4 games, really not much going on. Then he started getting the flow. His first game against the Patriots was kind of medium, right? He had a couple catches and then a couple drops. The next game he played better against the Chargers, had some production, and then was doing a nice job against Atlanta, and unfortunately got banged up for the year. But that's kind of what happens with some of these guys as they get into the flow and the rhythm of things.
Final one, Troy.
Pat, appreciate your time today. You mentioned patience earlier. Fans have no patience. That's just kind of part of this. So with Drew, and you divide seasons into quarters, do you see the guy that's those fourth quarters, he's counted for 6 touchdowns the last couple of weeks. Do you see the kid that's trending upward as you have the whole second half available to you? And what is it about him that you can kind of see he's getting more comfortable, or that he will trend upward over these final 8?
Yeah, no, I think I see good things throughout the game, and then whether it's the TV broadcast or fans, you point to the negative things throughout. I mean, that's an easy thing to do as you have a guy learning how to play this game at this level. That's part of it. But throughout the game, you did some really good things. And then there were some mistakes that you just keep cleaning up. So for the quarterback, it's not really quarters in the game, it's, quarters, for the season. And I've seen steady improvement from him each week. There's certain things that all quarterbacks need to do. They need to be consistent, but they need to be able to take advantage of big throws and make big throws. And he's done that. I mean, he's made some big time throws. If you just sit down and watch the game critically, he made some really good throws the other night that we just didn't connect on for whatever reason. And I alluded to some of it. But then there were some things you got to clean up, You know, we weren't protected right on the one interception. He just got to either eat it or throw it away, and he'll learn that. You know, but that's that basketball player in his driveway going to try to make a fadeaway. You know, so that's human nature, and part of the maturity process and the growing process is to know the next time that happens, that's not my reaction. You know, I either eat it or put it somewhere where nobody gets it. And then we get back in the huddle and we call another play. And so, you know, I don't know if I'm answering your question. This is kind of just a stream of thought here, but that's sort of it.
Thanks for joining us, Coach. I'll just go right to it. The situation you had with Brandon and the potential 58-yard field goal attempt, Coach Fangio brought up that he talked with you, they called timeout, and then ultimately you decided to punt. What happened in that scenario in your mind? Kind of just replay kind of what went down that ultimately led to the punt.
Well, the big thing is what I do is I give my advice to Vic, you know, in terms of kind of where Brandon is, you know, pregame, this, that, the other, distance, things like that, so on and so forth. And then coach makes that decision from there, you know. So my biggest job is when I see a situation like that, distance, 42-yard line, 39-yard line, 44-yard line, where I got to get involved, I give him my advice. In that case, he thought about it and then made that decision to punt the ball.
Next one, Brandon.
I guess following up on Troy's, if the roof would have been closed, would that have potentially changed your advice at all in terms of Brandon's distance on that day?
No, I don't think that the wind had any effect on any of the balls. You know, the kickoffs, the punts, you know, they bombed them. We bombed them. It was just more of a matter of really what I saw in pregame, to be honest with you, B. And just went kind of off of that is from that, I gave him the advice that I gave him.
Well, and I guess to follow up on that, when you said what you saw in pregame, is that just a consistency thing or a distance thing on a given day? Because I realize, you know, he wants to be big-legged every day, but it's different in Atlanta than it is in Denver.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think it's different every day. You know, the pregames are different every place you go. We went to New England, and I'll be up front with you. He missed 5 field goals in pregame, but the ball was flying, you know, so far. It's just different. You know, it's just kind of how that ball, the trajectory is. And then I just give him the advice off of that. In game situations, you know, first quarter, fourth quarter might be different, third quarter might be different, so on and so forth.
Next one, Zach Stevens.
Hey, Coach, when Diontae Spencer returns, how will you change and adjust who's returning back there? Is Bryce and KJ still going to get opportunities, or will Diontae take all of those?
Diontae. You know, if Diontae is active and playing, then Diontae is going to be the returner.
Next one, Ryan O'Halloran.
Hey, Tom, what did you make of Tyrie Cleveland's batch of kick returns last week?
You know, I thought he got better as he went along. You know, he only had a couple kick returns there at Florida. He's getting better and better. You know, we had 6 opportunities. So as the game went on, you saw a couple of cuts that earlier in the game he didn't make. But I thought he got better. He understood a little bit more of the return track. That's a big thing in the National Football League. Don't cut till you need to cut. And he had a couple of big cutbacks where they overplayed us and had some nice returns. You know, one return he got tackled by the kicker when we got out to the 31-yard line. He got everybody blocked. You know, I talked about that last week. We got to make that play. And then I'll be up front with you. I know you didn't ask, but KJ had a return right before the end of the half where we ran a bounce play. And it's just a matter of he just needs reps. He cuts inside one block, and it's him versus the kicker on their right sideline. So I keep saying it, but these young guys just need reps. You know, Spence needs reps just like he did a year ago. You just got to keep getting those action reps, and they'll get better. But they all have ability. I think he's tough as heck, to be honest with you, to go back to Tyrie.
Okay, thanks.
Guys, a reminder, please use the lower your hand function if you no longer have a question. Next one, Andrew Mason.
Tom, we're at the midway point, so kind of big picture. What are you seeing from your units that you're pleased with, and what do you want to see your guys improve on over the second half of the season?
You know, we're starting to sustain blocks. On kickoff return, there was a lot of opportunities last week, so from a blocking standpoint, that's getting better. I see improvements in punt protection. See definitely, you know, field goal. That's been a strength for us. Kickoff cover. We need to be much better, but you know, in hindsight, we got to kick off, you know, and give them these reps to to see which of these guys can play. We haven't kicked off a lot this year. We can't, we hit a touchback ball. It's not a touchback, and then it blows up on us. And we got to make sure that, guys do their job. But I would say overall, from sustaining blocks, we're getting better. Protection's getting better. Sam, these last 3 games, he's grossing 55 yards a punt in the last 15 reps. That's bombing. And our net, has gone up drastically. We gave up a blocked punt, but the net's over 40 after you give up a blocked punt. And so if that continues to climb where it should be around 42 right now. We need to get to that spot on the net punt. But coverage-wise, we got cover kicks and see who can play. Punt coverage, I think our gunners are getting much better. They're making more plays. They're the first guys down. They're the first guys that can leave the line of scrimmage. We got to get much, much better there.
Final one, Brandon.
Yeah, well, Tom, I was going to ask you about the coverage teams. You kind of talked about your evaluation of them, but I am curious, K-Jack was saying that we're making too much about you guys missing practice here and there, that it doesn't affect the execution on Sunday. He's talking big picture as a team, but you mentioned last week that you had to change things around and skip some things. And the lack of kickoffs because the offense hasn't, put up as many points as you'd like. Is that the only way to get better with these coverage teams, is just more practice time and more in-game kicks to cover and punts to cover?
Yes and no. When I talk about the kick cover part of it, what I'm talking about is we kick a lot of touchbacks, and so it's one of those things where I got to get us in situations where if we're going to get better at coverage, we got to hang the ball up and cover. Okay. So it has really nothing to do with how many times we score, so on and so forth. It's just a matter of us actually covering kicks. Brandon takes care of it. You saw it last week. We had 4 touchbacks. But from a punt standpoint, the reps in practice, we've been getting enough reps. We got to get better at coverage there. It's just in games covering kickoffs. We haven't covered a lot of kickoffs. If you go back and look at the stats, our kickoffs, if we've kicked off 30 times, 40 times, we've covered 6 kickoffs. You got to cover more. So that's really my point, is we just have to get those guys in situations where they're making plays, especially as young players.